Hey, hi. If you can see me, if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments so that we can get right into it. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, happy Thanksgiving for TNA community members that are in the US, Canada, and other parts of the world where they celebrate Thanksgiving. And if you're in Nigeria, in Africa, happy Thursday evening to you. Happy almost December, happy clean, dirty December coming, whichever one you're about to celebrate. Welcome to the next Advantage Edition 3. I am so excited to be here with you. If you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. I just want to be sure that you can hear me so we can get right into it. Hi Panthera. Thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna get a few more highs. Oh, hi Ali Balogun. Pleasure to have you here. These are like TNA founding community members, those who started from the very first edition to the second edition with us. Thank you for joining. Oh, you can hear me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So today's session, I'm more relaxed, so it's going to be like interactive. I think the second one was interactive anyway, so let me not say it's going to be more interactive than the second one, but this one just has a different vibe to it because I'm not talking about technology specifically, even though I am going to talk about technology, but I'm taking it through the experiences that we have. And at the time the idea came to me, I was thinking around age, particularly as the key factor that holds people back from accessing opportunities, age as a framework and societal construct for guiding access to opportunities and access. But it's a whole lot more. And I think I might make this a series where we take age first and then we'll take the next topic and the next topic, because there's so many talented young people who didn't realize what exactly they wanted to do on time. And by the time you look around before you find purpose, bit inferiority complex, imposter syndrome, have faith in yourself, learn the required skills, get the better information on what to do, what not to do. You look up and you're like 30. And once you hit 30 as an average Nigerian, there's an extra pressure. I think it's generally the same in the world, but I also think it's very different for Nigerians. So thank you all for joining and confirming that you can hear me. With that, we can get into this event. Even though I don't like to call it event, I like to call it a teaching series. Okay, so we are ready. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Advantage. My name is Iberi Lisa. I am your host. I am your teacher. I am your coach. I don't like to go by coach because coaching takes a lot of work. But yeah, some people have addressed me as coach and as well as this time around. But I think I'd rather go by teacher and speaker and someone who brings light to you, transformer, because a lot of my work and a lot of my teaching, especially around my personal brand and as it extends to my business expressions, are around helping people transform their lives and evolve into what's next. And that's because my own life has been a case of transformations and transitions. And I know that where we are with technology, there's a whole lot of opportunity it creates for everybody. So that's the backstory, unofficial backstory behind creating the Next Advantage. The very official one is that we are at a crucial point where there is this divide. First was the digital divide. Now we have like an AI automated robotic divide whereby machines are going to take over a lot of work that we do today. And people who already have been marginalized either by age, by access to education, access to information, are already struggling, not to mention when there's a new tool, a new innovation that is going to change things, and a lot of people are not aware. So I created the Next Advantage as a way to help people learn the ways that they can upskill and reskill for opportunities in the digital economy. The global economy and digital economy at this point are basically one. So I decided, and my team decided to put this together. First, if you'd like to know, Next Advantage was just meant to be a newsletter where I send weekly letters. And if you are in our newsletter list, you have gotten my letters in the past 3 or 4 editions. The first one was on LinkedIn launching its AI tool and the possibility of that becoming the hiring and recruiting tool that recruiters are going to go after, or companies are going to use to hire their team members rather than depending on HR and outsourcing companies. There's also the one about the influencer, I can't remember her name right now, for Morocco, that was designed for Puma. And Puma it's not just an influencer, she is a cultural influencer for Morocco, and it's an AI. And one would wonder, what would technology know about culture? If you ask me, I'll say a lot if you prompt it right. And I think there's also one about drone racing and the immersive experience. And the last one was about age, and when tech closes a door, it opens a new one, or you open a new one. It's about the career arc, the age arc as well. And this live edition, live teaching, I'm going to go into details about that newsletter, because part of what I shared in that newsletter and what I've been sharing while promoting the Next Advantage is key in the time that we are in. So thank you once again for joining. As I said, this session is going to be practical. You and me with a few questions. And I'm going to have to look at my notes a few times so just I can stay on track and make sure I cover as much as I plan to cover tonight. So when I started this series, that was the first thing that really got to me when I created the theme for this event. And when I started discussing it with my inner circle, the idea that people who are talented can make it just by being talented is what a lot of people believe in. And I come from that very talent-oriented background personally, having a couple of talents and having to display them as I grew up and having people say, oh, you can become this, you can become that. And in the key marketing theme I was going for, I was highlighting how footballers, models, and even career professionals and other creatives, this unannounced, undisclosed age limit to which they can access opportunities, right? And really, without that age limit, there's only a lot of people that can make it to the top. And if I use modeling as an example, or pageantry as an example, the most recent one with Miss Universe, the beautiful lady Chidinma that represented Nigeria, when she contested, there were about 1,000 or 5,000 people all over the country that went to audition for that pageant. And trust me, they say the beautiful ones are not yet born, and I like to believe there are so many beautiful women, right? So she definitely was not the most beautiful amongst all the beautiful women that showed up. She most likely wasn't the smartest amongst all the smart women that showed up. But it just happens to be that she's the one that won, because really one person has to take it. And that's how such platforms work, right? And so you have thousands of people come from different parts of the world, buy their tickets, show up, audition, make it to the first round, make it to the second round, get into camp, have people vote for them, and then on the final day, one person takes the crown. There's usually a first runner-up, second runner-up arrangement, but the first person is usually the main person that gets the attention. And that platform is not even as big or as enriching as the Big Brother platform. And that's because Big Brother rides on social commentary, social activity, social media connections. And through that activity, they get access to a lot of funding, a lot of partnership and sponsorship. Pageants have like smaller sponsorship pools. So there's not even a lot to do in the 1 year that you reign as queen, except you make it at the international level, right? And even when you make it to the international level, very few people maximize that opportunity if you don't have a manager. And in this part of the world, we are not that country where talent management is such a developed space, right? We have so many young people who are talented, who would do well if somebody built a business system around them. But we don't have that in this part of the world. So in her 1 year being a queen, aside the money and the publicity and all she won, although I saw a post that she announced that she's out of pageantry, and I was really excited if that's true, because at her age, I think she's 23, that was about the time that I realized that the industry was not going to be where I would make it in life. I was 22 going on 23. I was in my prime, as my family would say, because there was a protest. You're good at this thing, pursue it. And I'm like, I'm good at this, but I cannot determine my own success in this space. My success is always dependent on what somebody scores on the sheet for me. And there's so many beautiful women. It might be my turn this time. It might not be my turn the next time. It's very, very, very unpredictable. I wanted a very predictable, predeterministic way of mapping out my success. And I knew that the way I was going about it, it wasn't predictable at all. And the first time I decided to do something what I knew how to do at the time, I started a business that would grow into something way bigger and make me my very first 7 figures. And I'm like, yeah, I was right. This place is more like the place I want to be. And if I still use pageants as an example, in the Nigerian pageant industry, for those that are not very familiar, indulge me for a bit. I'm going to go around this and bring you back into other creative and professional career paths, because I know some people are not very familiar with this area. Now, a lot of people think that pageantry is just about being a fine girl, and some people think it's a pimping opportunity. You know, you might be right, you might be wrong, but for a lot of young women, it's your first exposure to being with a large audience for international opportunities. It's the first time that you get to work on projects that actually touch national concerns. And it might also be a way for you to learn how to interact or present yourself to a large audience and on large projects as well. But aside that, the industry shifts in such a way that I've explained: you buy the tickets, you audition, you win. But like every other industry, there are people who provide different services and products in it, just like they do in other industries. And in pageantry, at my time, there was this lady, and I think she's still in the business, called Miriam Elisha. She had contested at one point, and I think she was the third runner-up or second runner-up. I can't remember the title that she went for at the time, but she came out of it and she set up this fashion brand that provided costumes and dinner gowns for pageant girls. And so it would mean that every year, 5,000 girls will buy tickets from all over the world across different pageant titles, pageant brands, to go audition, to win that ticket and be the lucky person who is crowned Miss whatever, while she is in the corner providing all of those girls, maybe not all of them, but a percentage of those girls, say maybe like even if it's a 5%, or 10% of the girls who are coming up to contest, their dinner gowns, their outing gowns, their parents' gowns, and all of those things. She will provide them, she will rent, she will make new ones year in, year out. Between her and the person buying a ticket to come audition and hope to win, who is making predictable income? Just think about it. Let me know in the comments. Between this lady, Miriam Elisha, and the person who is buying a ticket, who is beautiful and smart, probably around the 5'10", 6'inches and all, has all the features, has all the aesthetics, knows how to answer the questions, and there are about 20 of them for each year that people come to contest. Between them and this Miriam lady, who is going to make predictable income? I want to be sure that you're following me. Anybody? Okay. So I don't see anybody responding. So I'm just going to go straight into it so we don't take too much time. So between the person who is contesting, of course, buying tickets, and the lady who runs a business in this space, the lady who owns a business that provides services year in, year out, definitely makes predictable income. And mind you, she doesn't just rent those gowns for one particular pageant. There are over 20 or 30 pageants in the Nigerian space. And then if we move into football, as an example, the national opportunity you would have to display yourself, display your talent, to find scouting agencies or scoutsmen that come to scout for talent in football, or it's usually the under 17, under 21. I think my brother mentioned under 20. Once you miss those opportunities and you've not made it to the national stage, you've not made it to any international opportunity or league, you've not even gotten into Enyimba FC or any of the local leagues, and you're still playing, say, in an Agege FC, Keja FC, and the rest of them, chances of you making it once you're already 24, 25 is very, very slim. And it's not just football. If you follow the NBA games, you also see that the ones who are within the 17, 18s, 19s are usually better fit for opportunities for drafting. There's an age where you fall into it becomes almost impossible for you to get certain opportunities. If we leave football and other athletic opportunities that will go into the professional career path, say for entry-level roles as well. Entry-level roles are usually targeted at fresh graduates, and that is why for most of those roles, companies are willing to train, companies are willing to put their resources into shaping the people that they select to be part of them. Some of them even come as interns, some come into full entry-level programs, and companies commit their resources to training them. And there's a reason why most of those people within, most of those opportunities are targeted at young people. Young people are hungry for opportunities. They are not, their eyes are not so fixed on being paid a certain fee. They're looking for opportunities first. They are young, they are energetic. There are lots of processes, rigorous processes they are willing to go through, especially if you're falling into sales and marketing related opportunities. And so when they create those roles and say, oh, they want people who are between 21 to 25 or 21 to 24 or 21 to 26, it's specifically because even within that age range, chances are that a lot of people within that age range will not be married, so you don't have a lot of responsibilities. It also reduces what will take attention from them when it comes to doing their job. It also reduces the resources that the companies have to commit to supporting this talent, from all the family care packages, insurance, and the rest of them that is due to whoever is married and has a spouse or has a family. That is reduced at the entry level. And even the salary paid at the entry level is way lower. And then as the best of the best grow and get used to company culture and deliver on results, they get to be promoted into different roles. But for specific roles like sales and marketing, lots of people don't even get promoted. It's like there's a recycling and reshuffling process such that some people are stuck in that space for 2 to 3 years, and then they reshuffle them and new people come in, because every year there are young people coming into the workforce and who are hungry, who are willing to take over small opportunities. And I started this uh, research when I started putting it together, and I realized that for a lot of people who actually go into, because I spoke to a lot of people who are still in entry level roles and they're already approaching their 30s. There's an unspoken rule when it comes to age and career, such that when you're at a certain age, you're supposed to be at entry level. As you're progressing, you're supposed to be at mid level at a certain age, and you're supposed to be ready for management level, senior roles, C level roles, at C-suite roles as you grow. Once you are within a particular age range and you've not crossed, it's like you're just going to be there and be doing admin tasks and admin stuff. And nobody's going to come to you and say, hey, why haven't you moved up? Except someone who really takes interest in you and likes you. But most of the time, people would just rather have you where you are because you're willing to be there. So most people who, especially people who didn't go through the recognized educational path when it comes to certifications and career opportunities in Nigeria, say medicine, law, accounting, nursing, and the rest of them. If you happen to study a microbiology, a plant science and biotechnology, a botany, an animal science, these professional roles don't necessarily have like a pathway that when you graduate, there are very few research lab and research centers to take biochemists. There are very few research labs for food that will take biotechnologists or food research scientists. So what happens is most people end up going to take up sales and marketing roles. They move from biological and physical sciences to go into the social sciences and compete for roles with people who are actually marketing because they're looking for opportunities. And so when this happens, people do not know that they can intentionally sit down and say, okay, this is what I have, and this is what the market is offering. How do I position myself right now to make sure that I get the best of opportunities? Usually when people are looking out for opportunities in their career path, it's always a case of woe is me and I don't know what else to do. And whenever you take up that woe is me, that defeated stance, it's difficult for you to get into any opportunity whatsoever. So the very first place I'm going to be starting at is the mindset. I know you've heard about mindset a lot. Motivational speakers talk about mindset all the time. What's this whole mindset thing? You really cannot go further than you see, than you think, than you imagine that is possible for you. There's nothing I'm going to say on this broadcast or if you watch the replay that will be your reality if you don't think it's possible for you. And that's why mindset is very important. Because you already made the first mistake of not being intentional, it could be a mistake based on the fact that you didn't have anybody to guide you. It could be a mistake based on you didn't have resources. It could be a mistake based on you didn't even know better, right? It could be a mistake of you were just hungry and you needed opportunity. And now that you've gotten into school, maybe jammed you for a while, you didn't get admission on time, and now you're in university, and now you graduated after 4 years in university, you graduated with this degree that hasn't offered you opportunity. It is very it's a very painful thought process. And I say painful because when you realize at the end of the day what you've done to yourself, if you ever encounter new information like this, that the time you spent in going from one petty job to the other, you could have used that time to sit down and say, how do I intentionally pivot my life? How do I intentionally create opportunities for myself? It'll be a very painful experience, because what usually happens is when new information hits you like this, you start to think about the years that you've wasted on opportunities that you were never even supposed to pursue in the first place. So that's why I'm saying mindset. You have to think of what is really possible for you. And by saying what is possible for you, I don't mean by what is possible for you based on what you only think is accessible based on what your degree has offered. There are so many opportunities. There are so many ways that you can turn around what seems like the only opportunities are available to you to work in some primary school in a local community, or in some place that would never allow you reap the benefits of your skills, your talents, and gifts, and even the ones that you develop in the future. You need to change your mind, right? You need to think about the life that you really want. And if you don't know exactly what you want, start researching and looking up to people who are successful in different tracks, in different career paths, and start finding out which one that you admire. And I'll give an example with myself. When I was leaving university, One of the ladies that I really admired at the time was Amina J. Mohammed, and I think she was the Minister of Environment at the time. And I saw her and I thought, oh, she's very brilliant. She's a great speaker. She's very knowledgeable in this environmental space, and she's trying to make a change. I'd like to be like her. And since I already did my IT around the Ministry of Environment, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, I'm like, okay, maybe I can go work at a recycling company and see how I can map that career path out. And then I went into that path and realized that it's not exactly what I wanted to be or what I imagined it to be. So I left it and went somewhere else. But I saw someone who was doing it at the highest level possible, at least at the time, and I saw what they were doing, and I used that as a benchmark or as a way to look at what I could become, what I even had at the time. Not many of my colleagues from university would think that far or had even thought that far at the time, but for me, I saw it to be an opportunity, and I tried it, and when I realized it wasn't it, I took my hands out. So mindset is really important. You have to believe, you have to see it, that you're going to do something amazing, even if the resources you have, the degree you have, your age is against you, any other thing, any other barrier, any other restrictions that might be existing at the moment. You have to go into your mind, sit with yourself, and create a life that you truly desire. Visualize a life that you really, 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 really want. And then you can now get to the how of it. All right. So once we start that mindset work, following the mindset work is the work around knowing what you have and what you don't have. I like to say it this way: be aware of your advantages and disadvantages really early. Nobody should, while I believe you should imagine the best possible future for yourself, part of that possible future is where you are right now and what you have right now. So there's no need to imagine a future where you are, say, a medical doctor, and all you have is a degree that cannot give you an opportunity in being a medical doctor, and that's all you're holding to and having faith. So yes, you imagine the life where you're going to be a medical doctor, or better yet, you imagine the life where you're going to transition into a different field, or you're going to do something else with your life. So what do you have in hand? What are your advantages? What are your disadvantages? Do you have the resources to learn something new? Are you going to go to take up a small job in the meantime to be able to get the degree, the certifications that you will need? Be honest with yourself. Be specific about what you have and what you do not have. And I'll use a very detailed example. So let's say you have a degree that you know that will not provide you the opportunities that you want, right? What are the other opportunities that you're interested in? Everybody's talking about digital marketing, or maybe everybody's talking about fintech and finance, and you're wondering how you can get into finance operations. And you just come on this teaching session and you heard that even if you come from a background in microbiology and animal and environmental biology, and you have an interest in finance, you like numbers, you like a piece of accounting, you can actually go and get an ICANN certification, Institute of Chartered Accountants. You can actually apply and get one. You take a few lessons and you pivot and find yourself in finance. Also, there are lots of fintech certifications right now that if you do have an interest in fintech, you can pivot into that. You have an interest in product management, in product marketing, you can pivot into that. See? So if this is what you are thinking, this is what you like to do. So you now ask yourself, okay, this is what I like to do. Where do I get the resources to do it? I don't have the money right now. I'm still in an entry-level role or the mid-level role where I'm in. They're not paying me enough to actually go get a certification or start learning. So what should I do? Then you can now say, I'll start putting money on the side. Or if your job has, because most, if you work in a proper company, no disrespect to smaller businesses, but a lot of small businesses don't have these facilities or support systems for employees. So for most large corporations, they have like a loan facility, internal loan facility for their staff, such that you can take loans for certain things that you're interested in. Also, some companies even have like an educational support resource where if you're going to take a professional program or training, you write to the company and they will approve it for you. So you can leverage these things while you're working 9 to 5. And if you don't have a 9 to 5, what other means are you going to use to get it? Are you going to get a side hustle? Are you going to get a small job somewhere so that you can get these certifications? This is just one example about knowing your disadvantages and your advantages. What exactly do you have? What exactly do you not have? It is, I can't tell you that if you imagine the life that you really want, that you're automatically going to get the opportunity that you desire. You're not going to be able to do that. So once you're able to imagine the life that you truly want, then you get to map out the disadvantages and advantages that you have. Now we can start talking about how we can actually get into using what you have right now. Okay. Now, There are two ways that if you already have like the age restriction or education restriction on your part, that you can automatically change your part. Because if you look at the sports industry, if you look at opportunities in the entertainment industry as well, you would see that no matter how talented an artist or a person is, there are systems, there are infrastructures, there are resources, there are team members and resources set aside to make them the best of the best, right? And like I said, even though pageantry is the one place, sorry, I'm trying to plug in. Even though pageantry is the place where people tend to win, even though pageantry has a winner takes it all approach, sorry guys, even though pageantry has a winner takes it all approach for opportunities, pageantry is not the only industry where that is the reality. It's the same thing in sports. Think about it. All the people who are interested in the different sports that you're aware of, the Olympics, where different athletes come to run, one person wins gold, the other person silver, the other person bronze medal. What happens to the other people from the other countries? Especially countries where their people didn't even support them to actually really come and provide them resources to train and prepare. You see, resources to even train and prepare is another thing that guarantees how good an athlete becomes. So the natural born talent is not even enough, right? So of all the talented singers in the world, only few will become globally recognized pop stars. Of all the talented dancers in the world, only few will make it to the video of, say, the top artist. And if you're in a place like America, maybe you can actually have your own dance or a dance. You can have your own dance career path, professional dance. Here, we don't have a lot of professional dance opportunities, but in the US, in the UK, and other parts where dance is really appreciated, you can have your own career path and have, especially if you do contemporary dance, you're going to have a lot of people come watch you, just sit down and watch you display your gift, your talent, your art, and pay to actually see it. In this part of the world, it's not really reality. But then, even with dance, for the millions of people who actually come out and dance every day, how many of them make it to the top? Let's use Instagram. Of the millions of dance videos that pop up on Instagram, which ones make it to the top? Which ones are remembered? Of the millions of influencers who are dancers, which ones are at the top? Of the millions of hype men, which voices do you remember? Which one do you know? Which one actually are able? Which ones are actually able to support themselves? Of the millions of skit makers, and when I mean millions, when I say millions, I mean millions globally. And if we bring it to Nigeria, maybe thousands. The thousands of skit makers, which ones will become Lai? Which ones will become Mr. Macaroni? How many of them will become Tauma? And even the Tauma and Lai, if you notice the pattern, there is a raining season for each person. This year, Lai is reigning. Maybe 2-3 years they hold the crown. Somebody else is going to come up and take that crown. And that's only because there's only a very small space for being at the top. There's usually 1 or 2 people per time. It's never going to be multiple people. Doesn't mean that other people are not successful. It just means that that's where that's how the industry or how the hierarchy is, rather. Of the millions of talented artists, and let me use another example. Artists like Johnny Drill, like Chike, would they ever be as big as Ashake in Nigeria? Why? Is it because they're not committed? Is it because they're not hard work? Is it because they're not talented? No. The type of music they make is not going to be as mainstream, except if they decide, or the culture and the consumption style of Nigerians change. But regardless of how talented they and other people that make alternative genres of music are not going to be able to have huge opportunities, but they will have some opportunities. And I'm going to talk about and even use Johnny Drill as an example, some of the moves that I have studied him making as a brand, enough to build opportunities for himself and such that anybody who is here can do the same for themselves. Yeah. Welcome, Kewa. Glad to have you here tonight. One of the founding members of TNA community. Okay, so, and to top it off, aside the fact that age really disrupts how people get access to opportunities, or the mere fact that only few people can be at the top at time disrupts how many people can get opportunities. There's also the fact that technology is coming in right now. And this is one thing that I have been wanting to talk about for a very long time. Now, when we talk about AI and everything, people tend to feel like or think that it's new and people are just getting onto the AI craze, and it just came in and changed everything. It's not true. It happens slowly, gradually, maybe not in this part of the world, but globally, it's been happening slowly and gradually. And let me give an example when I say AI replacing artists and talents. There was a time in 2020 when I was doing a research on virtual YouTubers, basically digital twins and digital life. And I discovered virtual YouTubers in, I think, China, Korea, and a huge part of the Asian countries. They have like a management system, a management company and talents, human talents dedicated to managing digital artists. These artists are not known in real life. Somebody acts like them, somebody dresses up like them, performs like them, or performs, does the performances live on stage while people stream and watch live. But nobody knows who this person is. Who they know is the character. This was in 2020, and it didn't start in 2020. This had been going up such that they have huge fan base at the time I discovered this. This is 2024. What is different between a digital artist, a digital musician that existed in 2020s, and an AI that is making music now? You really think people are not going to buy into it? Or you say, oh, it's the Asian culture, it's not an African culture. We are not really different as people globally. If you make good music, over time, even the people saying, oh, it's AI, they'll get used to it. If not, this generation will pass on, and the next generation that will be born into the AI music, the AI experience, will not have to complain about it. So it's going to become a thing. So before AI, some group of people had already come up with the idea that we don't only have to have real life artists. We can have digital artists that exist just digitally, and nobody will know them, right? And in a way, we've experienced bits and pieces of appreciating people's music without knowing who they really are. In Nigeria, for example, Lagbaja existed for so long. I don't know what it looks like. Some people say they know him. I don't know. I've never seen him. Sia for a long time was, wearing that her bangs, and nobody knew what she looked like. And she was just performing, and people loved her voice, and she was winning awards, and she was selling out records. So how is that so different from having a digital artist? So I'm just saying all this to say that AI, all this revolution, all these changes are not new. If you do pattern mapping and trends, and you study trends and you study signals of change, you would see that there's really nothing new under the sun. Everything builds up on the other thing. So now that we already have digital artists, we have digital experiences of athletes, the top athletes actually. So athletes already have their digital lookalikes in games, in different immersive experiences where people go to watch them, and they play for 90 minutes on the field and they go and rest. But when you play them on PS2, any of the platforms that they watch, PS4, any of the platforms that you play them on, they play 247. Whenever you pick them up, they're ready to play. That's a virtual experience, an immersive experience, which is not so different from the metaverse, spatial computing, and all of that experience that was the trend before AI took over. So again, it's building up. It's not entirely new. So these digital experiences are also adding on to how people are cut off from opportunities, because it means that for some of these experiences, you don't need a human being to come. And if you don't need a human being, you're just taking their likeness and their image. You pay a smaller fee for what you would pay for if you come to watch them physically. If you divide the amount you spend in buying your PS4 and how long you play it and how much you have to spend to go watch a live Man U match, a live UEFA match, you would see that it's way cheaper, right? So the same way, the likeness and the image of these artists that have been traded on these platforms is also way cheaper. And so this also means that the resources that will be put into getting the other talents to see who is coming in, it's not really there, because these other athletes, these other artists, they are more or less they are more or less eternal. I was careful about saying that, because knowing that we are Nigerians and we are very spiritual, so certain things we don't like to hear. But they're more or less eternal. There's no death, there's no sickness, they will never complain, they work tirelessly. Have you ever picked up your PS4 game and you turn it on, and then, I don't know, Ronaldo says, I'm tired of playing. Or Ronaldo says, I broke my leg, I can't play today. He plays. That's the whole idea. And that's the thing that AI is also bringing. Robots that would never be tired, that would never complain, except when the systems are down. And it takes way less time to bring the systems back up than it takes to bring a human up who is sick or who broke their leg. So these things are also limiting access to opportunities. So if you remember at the beginning, I already said that First off, people who do not have access to good information and education are already limited by age, access to information and education. Now, AI is about to take up certain opportunities as well. This is why it is necessary that I even bring in technology, even if I didn't want to bring in AI into this conversation. So with all this information in the background, there are only two ways when you know that you're limited. If you remember, I said at the beginning, first off, mindset. Second, know what you have and what you do not have. Be aware of your advantages and disadvantages. When you now know what you have and what you don't have, there are only two ways that if you are against the way opportunities have been created by institutions, by corporations, because you are not the one that created these opportunities. The people who created these opportunities know exactly what they are looking for. They did not create it for your benefit. They created it for their benefit. I remember a friend of mine got an opportunity to work in a large corporation, and she was gushing about how they treated her well, how she's so happy to be there. And I'm like, don't forget that they need you as well. And she's like, yeah, she knows. I said, no, I don't think you hear me well. Don't forget that they need you to make things happen in this company. For every time they come out to hire somebody, they need somebody. Yeah, they can replace you, but remember that whatever they hired you to do is important, and so that you can take that thing and move it into something else, and remember how valuable that is. And I'll get into this as a concept much later. So when you have done your mindset work, you know that there are so many opportunities for you in this world, regardless of the disadvantages, regardless of what you didn't know how to do better, and you know what you do not have and what you have. There are two ways to actually move forward. And it's either you're going to go towards the career path, or you create a business that will create career paths. Either ways, you're either going to become the institution or corporation or go work in one. But the easiest or the most predictable way to get to success, to build wealth, to live on your own terms, is to become the institution or corporation. And I know not many people like this because there are a lot of risk involved in it, but you're already cut off from the opportunities for career by age, by education. You're going to have to create a new kind of career path for yourself, and that makes you some sort of entrepreneur. Either you're becoming a solopreneur or you're becoming a freelancer, whatever version of it you're going to pick up. But I would ask that you take up the full view of being an entrepreneur, so you can take up the full benefits of being an entrepreneur as well. But if you can't, for the sake of providing for yourself, you can start off just being a freelancer, you can start off being a solo entrepreneur, and maybe as your mind grows, as your appetite for ambition or for opportunities or for resources or whatever it is that makes you come alive grows, you'll be willing to do more. But in order for you to get access to opportunities, these are the only two ways to make it happen. There's a young man that I know who plays football within his local community. I remember we were having this conversation. I was asking him, what's your plan? And he says, oh, he's still playing this ball. This is all he wants to do. And I'm like, but realistically, you don't have a long time to play this way again. And this thing is not even paying you as it is. And so when we were having the conversation, I was trying to map out what the next plan would be. So now imagine that he not only focuses on his skill set as a footballer, but looks at the skill set of being a footballer to be the medium with which he expresses his interest in football. That way, his talent, his skill is no longer one thing. It can become multiple things. This is where a lot of young people or a lot of creative or a lot of talented people suffer. The lens with which you look at your talent is that it is this one thing. If it's not this one thing, there's nothing else. I'll use dance as an example. A dancer is a creative director. A dancer is a producer. Is somewhat a producer and a writer, a script writer for the different scenes in the dance choreography, especially those that make dance moves and videos for Instagram. They are doing mini productions. The way that back in the 2000s, I don't know if anybody was a fan of MTV, where you watch how a music video is directed, is shot, and they'll show you the behind the scenes. So when I think about dancers today and how they create their content and all the processes they go to put their content together, from arranging the music, then recording the video, the costuming, the animations in between, and everything. Even the costuming itself, somebody is dedicated to costuming usually for music videos or even large dance or choreography or entertainment sessions. So you have one dancer who is on YouTube or who is performing across different, let me even go to the lowest level of it. Someone who is performing across different small shows in their area. They put together their costume, they put together their dance, the soundtrack, they put together the steps, all those processes is not just dance. There are different areas in the whole multimedia production experience and work. But because all they know is dance, their talent is just dance. It's all. And so when dance is no longer working, there's nothing else they can think of. And there was someone else I was talking to recently, and this person was a dancer slash model at the time, and she kept on pushing for dance and modeling. And I'm like, why didn't you think there could be others? She's like, the only thing I thought of doing was I could layer on teaching others how to do these dance steps myself. And I'm like, but how many people are you going to teach to be able to pay for the studio that you rented? How many people are you going to teach to be able to actually take care of yourself? And so again, in her case, all she saw was the dance. This other aspect that can become something more are not even recognized and not validated. And so for a lot of talented people as well, even people in business, even people who are in professional career paths, you might find somebody who is, say, because I do this all the time when I meet somebody who is young, who is up and coming in whatever they are doing, and I ask them, what do you do? And I try to map out the bigger picture that they might be missing. So you meet somebody who is working as an admin staff or as a front desk staff at a finance company, and they already touch processes in credit or processes in treasury. And I'm like, but you're no longer an admin staff. You are doing financial operations at this point. You can actually get this certification, and then you can apply for a promotion, and you can qualify for certain opportunities. And they're like, but I just do it. And there's that defeated way. And this is why I say from the beginning, take away that mindset that just because I don't have access to a degree or whatever title that you think will make you feel more qualified for opportunities, that they are no longer opportunities for you. There are so many more opportunities for you. You can get a second degree, second BSc, you can get a master's degree. There's so much more that can be done. Okay, so when you decide to sit down with yourself and then you start looking strategically into these industries, into these value chains, you begin to see opportunities in a way that you've never seen them before. When you start looking at your talent and not just looking at it as a talent, you look at the work that you do and you say, what are the steps, what are the tasks, what are the processes that I use in delivering this project, in doing this work consistently. That is how you get to know exactly what you're doing. Your work is never really customer care. Your work is customer retainership. Your work is customer acquisition, but it's customer care. So whenever a customer calls the phone and say, oh, I have this problem, I couldn't get through this process, or my features are not working, or the services I paid for are not working, or the product is malfunctioning, and you walk them through the process, you're not just talking to a customer who has issues or you are helping the company retain a customer that pays money. And so when you map out the entire task and the end goal of what you're doing, then you begin to see the bigger picture. This is like ground level way of looking at what you do to see how big it really is, and just see how many more people would need it, right? So most people are stuck on the fact that it's just one talent, it's just one gift, it's just one skill set, and they never really move up to anything more than what they already have. So once you have been able to sit down and map out this, and map out how your talent connects to other areas and tasks within the work that you do, you'll be able to connect into other meaningful parts. And if you choose to go the career path, and you already say you're past the entry-level age limits, you're past the mid-level age limits, and you're looking to create opportunities for yourself, I'm going to take it in two formats now. Those who are pursuing the career path and those who want to become entrepreneurs. So let's say you want to actually apply at a company and become a full staff. You don't want to take the burden of being an entrepreneur. Maybe your hope and desire is that you find a company where you can take up equity at some point as you grow. And so you don't want to be the one who takes the risk of starting a business. Or maybe you're even hoping to learn while you do your work in the corporations that you're looking to work in, and maybe someday in the future you start your entrepreneurship path, where you find somebody who has an idea that you can partner with. It's also a good strategy. I don't tell people you must become an entrepreneur, because I know some people will never do it, right? Some people are not just suited for carrying that burden. Some people are very good supporters and they can be rewarded as well. However, you need to know which one that you are, know it early so that you can play the cards in your favor. Okay, so We've already said that when you are getting into certain career paths, right? If the age limit is not, if you're past the age limit or you don't have the educational qualifications, you're going to have to sit down and say, okay, how do I get access to the qualifications to get in? And at my age right now, what opportunities are for me? You see, this age matter. I don't like it where they do it on social media and they are like, oh, Oprah launched her media career in her 40s. XYZ did that. How many of them did that? Are we going to pick one of the millions of 40s around the world to say this is representation for what it means to succeed? I'm not trying to put pressure on anybody. I'm not trying to say that if you don't do certain things when you're young, you will never do them. But I want you to know the value of time. In this world, youth is valued, youth is appreciated. People would rather work with somebody young for certain opportunities than work with somebody who is old. When you're at a certain age, there's an expectation that society has of you. It's our culture. When you're at a certain age, there's also some of the things there's also some things that you are not willing to put yourself through. There are also some things you're not willing to go through just because you feel you're too grown for such opportunities or for such hustle. So it's a natural occurrence within society. It's not a function of people trying to pressure you or society creating. No. Even your body ages. When you're in your 30s, the way your body functions in your 20s is not the same thing. So you have to take care of your body. When you're in your 40s, the same thing happens. So yes, while I agree that yes, if certain opportunities were not available to you, you can still go for opportunities, but do not lie to yourself that say that age is just a number. 30 is not the new 20. 30 is 30. 20 is 20. 40 is 40. If you're realistic with it, you'll be able to find the best opportunities for yourself. I'd never lie to myself and say, oh, 30 is the new 20. No, it's not. 30 is 30, 40 is 40, 20 is 20. And for people who are already in their 30s, let me use this opportunity to congratulate a few people who are in their 30s who probably were not very intentional. Maybe they were very intentional, but the information they had access to and information they acted on did not quite give them or help them find the outcomes that they truly desired. And where they are right now is not where they imagined that they would be in their 30s. If that is you, congratulations. You made it this far based on what you know. You're going to be able to make it to the next place faster with the things that you know right now if you act on them. So no need to sit down and cry about the things that have passed and spilled milk and wasted opportunities and what you know now. That time is gone. You did the best with what you knew at the time, and that's okay. So again, congratulations. Now that you know better, get to doing better. Now that you know better, get to taking action. Because one thing I can guarantee you is that you blink, it will be 40. You blink again, it's 50. You blink again, it's 60. You see, I tell my siblings this, that when you were 15, or just imagine 10 years ago, as you're seated in this broadcast, imagine 10 years ago, something that happened 10 years ago. You imagine that thing in an instant, in seconds. It doesn't take you 10 years to remember what happened 10 years ago. That's how fast time flies. But every day, it's a Monday, it's a Tuesday, it's January, it's February, it's March, and 2024 is gone, 2025. You will look 10 years from now, add 10 years to whatever age gap that age range that you're in or age that you're in right now. You would see that when you get there, you remember this very day without even thinking too much. God keep your memories and your health in very strong conditions. You'll be able to remember it instantly. So please, let's make the best of our times. Let's not lie to ourselves. If you're in your 20s, kudos to you. There's so many opportunities for you when you're in your 20s, entry-level opportunities. People are willing to help you, sponsorships, scholarships, and the rest. When you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, they are closing. They are not closed completely, but they are closing. When you're in your 40s, society expects you to be able to take care of yourself. That's the reality of life. So if you've decided that you're going to go through the career path, right? Sorry, I had to go into that whole age rant, right? So let's get back into the main topic. If you've decided that you're going to go mainly into pursuing a career path and you don't have certain qualifications and degrees, one of the easiest ways to get started, like I said, ask yourself what you have and what you do not have. If you need to get certifications, what certifications do you need to get? How much do they cost? Can you learn for free? Can you practice for free? Is there a place you can partner? Is there a place where you can intern and you get scholarship or sponsorship? Can you get on EDX platforms, on Coursera platforms, and you apply for scholarships on those platforms? Most people do not know that EDX offers scholarships and Coursera offers scholarships. Do your research. How can you get access to scholarships? How do people who apply, what do they say? And then you try applying and see if you can get into all those opportunities. If you need to raise money for certain opportunities, What opportunities do you have at hand that brings you money, and how much do you need to raise? Okay. Once you do that, when you start learning and you start putting together your certifications and all the things you need to be able to get into this career path or into these opportunities, please embrace building a personal brand. This is the one people don't like. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I already do a lot of work. I work 9 to 5, 12 hours a day or 14 hours, whatever time period that you work. And like, oh, it's so much work to now come and become an influencer, a content creator. That's the world where we live in. You cannot go against the times and season when you already have disadvantages that are piled up against you. The easiest way to separate yourself from the crowd is to build a personal brand. And by building a personal brand, I don't mean become an influencer who follows all the trends. Just position yourself and talk about what you do, how you do it, the value that it brings or the value it provides for whoever you're doing it for, such that you're open for a whole lot more opportunities. When there was a massive layoff in the US in tech companies, the influencers or the personal brands that already had a community were not as affected as those who nobody knew. Because if you already have a community, you get access to funding and partnership opportunities and different opportunities. You're also more qualified to get certain jobs, especially for companies where the role that you're applying for requires someone who is somewhat social, right? So building a personal brand has multiple advantages in ways that you might not even imagine. So please commit to building a personal brand by putting yourself out there, even as you are learning, even as you are putting together your certificates. Read and share what you're learning. Read and share your thoughts on industry news. Read and share your thoughts on research and data across whatever industry or sector that you're choosing to go in. So let's say you choose to go into fintech, or let's say you choose to go into health tech. Let's say you choose to go into AI for farming. How is AI being used in agriculture? What are the latest technology? Who is doing what? You choose to go into climate change. What is happening there? Be the one who puts a face around it, and over time people will get to know you, and it even creates more opportunities for you because these days when recruiters are going to check out the people they are hiring, part of the recruitment process now is to check your LinkedIn, is to check your social media handles. So you make it easier, you separate yourself from the crowd. And also, an unannounced opportunity is that you can build a consultancy around the things that you're sharing or around this career path that you're choosing when you start building a personal brand. You might not know it at the beginning, but over time, you would have people who want information, want training, want resources around what you do. And there you are launching a consultancy, amongst many other opportunities that could come up from building a personal brand. So again, if you decide to pursue the career path, the best thing that you can do for yourself is analyze, where are you at right now? What do you have? What do you not have? What do you need to get? What certifications? What qualifications? These things are Googleable. There are people who have done videos on, if you want to get into product management, this is how you can get into it. If you want to get into AI, this is how you can get into it. You want to get into data analytics, this is how you can get into it. You want to get into finance and fintech. You want to get into health tech. You want to become whatever it is, there are lots of resources, at least to get you started and open your mind into thinking. And when you start looking at those resources, remember, do not limit it to what those people are saying. One of the gifts or strengths that you can have as a person is to start thinking about the value chain in every industry where you are in. And let me spend some time teaching this or speaking about this particularly, because most people, like I said earlier, if it's not the talent, it's the position, it's the title, it's the department, they never look at it. So if you come into a company, let me use finance. I tend to use finance a lot because I've consulted for a lot of clients in finance. Or rather, let me use real estate. Real estate is a bit easier. So in real estate, you have the real estate developers, you have the real estate agents, you have the other real estate stakeholders, maybe the builders and other people that provide construction and development skills and services in the real estate space. And then you have, of course, the real estate marketers, the agents and the rest of them. And you have some of them that are now influencers, like the Stephen Ndukus that own YouTube channels that are not necessarily real estate agents, but they own a platform where they can create content around real estate and create partnerships. So most people, especially the real estate marketers, tend to only see selling and buying property. They don't look at the entire value chain to see what is being sold in this industry. They don't look at it and say who is at the top, who is at the bottom, who makes the most money. Let me share another hack with you. If you really want to know where the highest opportunities, and this might not be for everybody. Some people might just be at a place where they are trying to like put food on their table, put clothes on their back. But if you're willing to come up and think bigger and look at more opportunities, one of the ways that you can know where opportunities really lie in an industry is to look at where the largest amount of money and transaction is going. And by saying look at it, I don't mean look at it from, oh, this person made that amount of money. Look at it from no, don't look at it from what each person makes in terms of salary, in terms of returns. Look at it from who gets the largest amount of money, by corporation, by independent service provider, whatever it is. Look at everybody who plays in the real estate and say, where does the largest amount of money move to? If you look at it that way, you will see that real estate marketers are somewhere on that food chain. They are somewhere, but they are not at the top of it, right? The people who are often at the top of it are the developers, are the brokerage owners. So brokerages are the companies that bring together real estate marketers under one umbrella and use their resources to support them as they sell properties and then pull those results for developers. So we have a couple of them in Nigeria. We have a couple of them globally as well. So you see that the brokerages will make more than the independent realtor, and the developers will make more than the brokerages, and the financial institutions will make more than the developers. And it goes on and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. So when you look through a value chain, look at everybody who is playing there, who is in that industry. Is finance there? Is compliance there? Is government involved? What does everybody, every single person get? And I've thought a couple of times on how to use AI to do research on this on the previous TNA. So you can go on AI and even say, in this industry that you're interested in, break down the value chain of this industry for me so that I can see where I can play in. What is the highest level? What is the area where the largest amount of money or transactions goes into? If you don't know, this is the easiest way to even do it. For some reason, I forgot to mention AI as I was teaching. I went to the very minimum of teaching and ideating. For every of the things I've mentioned, or any of the assignments or any of the tasks to help you craft out your part, you can use AI to get it done. If you're confused, ask AI. It would answer you. It will have answers for all the questions that you have, okay? If you know how to prompt it. Now, once you've decided that you're going to actually look through the value chain of the industry, you see so many opportunities and you cannot ask yourself where you will play. Even in your personal brand positioning, you would position differently if you see the value chain of the industry. And when you position differently, you'll be able to attract way better opportunities. You also see where there is true demand. And when you see where there is true demand, you ask yourself, what is the cost of getting access to these opportunities or being the one that they now come to for this thing that is in demand? Because for every price you want, for every price, PRIZ, that you want, there's a price to pay for it. Something has to give. And don't mind the fact that you might not have what it is right now. You might not have the price. You might not have the PRICE to give right now. Just stay on the fact that, oh, you can actually qualify for this opportunity. And then, like I said, what do you have? What do you not have? How do you work your way into it? How do you position yourself for opportunities into it? Are there opportunities for scholarship? Are there opportunities for partnership and resources? How do you get the best of it? So this is for those who are pursuing the career path, who want to go work in a company and take a new position, regardless of what you studied. Regardless of what you study, if you pick an interest in an in-demand role, and one of the ways you can also know roles that are in demand is to do your research. Please don't pick a random role because somebody came to your school and talked about digital marketing, or somebody came somewhere and talked about one opportunity or the other. You pick the wrong one. Do your own research. And please don't be afraid to talk about money or to ask about money or to research and say how much do these people actually earn per annum or monthly, right? There's this thing I always say to my inner circle people, that it needs to be studied why people who actually need profits will always go for not-for-profit opportunities. You need all the financing, you need all the financial support, at least at this level, but you're choosing to pursue an opportunity that would not provide you any profit whatsoever. It's not humility. It's not saving the world. It's a lack of confidence and value in yourself, because really you can't really do much if you're not able to take care of yourself. A lot of people who are in not-for-profit opportunities or organizations who end up embezzling funds, embezzle those funds because they don't even have enough to take care of themselves. So the funds that should go into the organization they've set up goes into taking care of themselves. So there's nothing wrong with money. The Bible never said that money is the root of all evil. It's the love of it. And the excessive need or desire for anything is actually bad. Money is no different. So don't be afraid to ask, how much do these people in this role earn? How much can I earn in a year? How much can I earn in 2 years? If I'm in this position, how much will I actually earn? If you're taking the consultancy route, how much do people who consult in this space earn? The ones who earn the biggest, what kind of companies are they consulting for, and how do I qualify? Again, all these things I'm saying, if you're noting them, you can use AI to do this research. Okay? So now let's go to those who actually want to build businesses. If you decide that you're going to go through the business route for your own part, business is actually one of my favorites, being an entrepreneur, because it takes off the limitations around, or the fear around, bringing out yourself publicly. And the people I'm going to use specifically here are going to be the entertainers. Even though going through the career path still suits them, it still will work out for them. So let's say you've been dancing and you now decided, okay, I want to do something in finance. I want to do something in real estate. I want to do something in healthcare. Maybe I want to be a technical support or a product manager of a healthcare platform. And I want to learn product management in healthcare. I see an opportunity in this space. I want to go into automation in agriculture, automation in food and hospitality, and whatever other industry that you're interested in. It's the same thing, literally. Get the knowledge that you need, position yourself for the opportunities, and start to apply. You can actually transform. And I know I'm saying this and it sounds very theoretical, but this is something I have done. And when I was leaving university, I knew in the deepest part of my heart that this degree where I get, I know a feature. I didn't lie to myself by any chance. Like, I'm going to be broke for a very long time if this is all I have. And like most Nigerians, by the way, let me go into my personal story a little bit. I usually don't like to talk about my story, but I think it's necessary for me to highlight, especially for those who watch this replay. When I got into university, I went in to study biochemistry, and jammed me, like many young people, and I got animal and environmental biology. After writing 2 exams, 2 GSTs, as a biochemistry student, I was moved to animal and environmental biology. I was confused. I cried my eyes out because I didn't know what exactly to make out of that degree. And I remember when we went to see our dean, he was like, if I commit to being an excellent student as I have, that I can easily switch back in my second year. And somewhere in between experiencing the new department I was in, seeing life there, hearing what people had to say about school, academics, and opportunities after school, I was so discouraged that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stay here. Once I get, because I had now taken interest, by my second year, I had taken interest in modeling. By my second year, once I hammer in this modeling industry, I'll quit this thing. And by this thing, I mean school. And I'll get back into building my own business. That has always been my interest. And as I got into the modeling industry, I saw it for what it really was. A large number of people never make it. I was juggling school and modeling, and so both of them were suffering. I couldn't always be at the cities to contest or to audition. I couldn't also focus fully in school. So school was suffering, pageantry was suffering, and I was just grappling with both of them. So for my third year, I made up my mind, you know what, I'm going to commit to school, especially now that I'm certain that this industry is not really going to support me. This is going to be a side hustle. When I can, I'll make whatever I can from here and support myself. But at that time, I had already messed up, and such that my high CGPA had fallen. And I was basically struggling to make sure that I get something decent and leave school. And so it was in the process of that struggle through my IT and final year that I knew that this degree wasn't going to build the life I wanted. But however, I'm going to get it because I'm already here. So when I was leaving school, my mind was already prepared. As I was arranging my results, calculated my CGPA, I knew what I had. And as I left, in my final year, I said my fashion retail company. I said, first off, styling young women who had interest in pageantry and people who wanted to shop. I've always had a flair for fashion and for looking good and creating my own personal style with whatever resources I had per time. And so I saw how people admired how I put myself together, even people who had more than I did. And so I took that as a business opportunity and I went right into it. And started with a few pieces, sold the next few pieces, sold the next few pieces, and it grew to something really big, such that it became the business I started with as I left university. So by the time I started that business, it was clear to me that finally I have that thing that I will grow with. And like I said, the pageant industry is not the industry where if you're the most intelligent, if you're the most beautiful, if you're the most brilliant, if you're the most accomplished, there's a guarantee you will win. There's no guarantee. Your fate is heavily dependent on what the judges or what the audience or what the voters and other parameters outside your control. I really wanted something that I could control myself. When I started my fashion business, I was like, yeah, now this is something I can control. So when I started my fashion business, I moved back to Lagos. A few business mistakes after leaving school, my business would fold and I'll start again from ground zero. And that was when I decided that I was going to learn digital skills. The very first time I ever learned anything around digital skills, my goal was that I would use it to relaunch my fashion business. So I was learning how to develop WordPress websites. I was learning how to do email marketing. I was learning how to run Facebook ads, do SEO, all for my own personal business, not knowing that anybody will ever hire me at any point. Now think about it. This is me. I don't have a computer science degree. And I like to say this because most times when I speak around technology and technological opportunities, people tend to think that I have some degree in computer science. I don't. I just found it to be something that was needed for my business, and I saw the opportunity and I ran with it. And this is why I always encourage people to embrace the digital economy, because all these barriers, age, lack of degree, all these things that hinder people, if you put your eyes down and you look through any industry that you're interested in, look through the value chain, and you learn some digital skills, you can set up a business, you can launch a product, you can launch a consultancy in as much as 3 months if you are lazy. If you're not lazy, in 30 days, you have a product in the market. I am serious, regardless of the background that you're coming from, especially today with AI. And I'll get into how that can be done easily. But this is very, very possible. And this is my story. And so when I started learning digital skills, I started having people who took interest in what I was doing. I was asking if I could help them. That was how I started offering services to fashion businesses. I had this community back in the day that was called Fashion Enterprise Africa, where I was teaching fashion businesses how to do digital marketing for their fashion brands. I had a couple of collaborations with British Council, the Assembly, and a few other brands, and had my own live workshops and trainings. And at some point, I had a conversation with this amazing lady, Unika Nwombu. We bumped into each other at one Assembly British Council partnership workshop. And she said to me, why are you focused on fashion? This thing you do can be done across multiple industries. You expand, think about it. And at the time, I was actually thinking about it because I had I skipped part of this gist. So in between working in fashion and looking for bigger opportunities, because fashion businesses in Nigeria, a huge part of them, a large part of them are small businesses, small and medium enterprises mainly. They don't pay a lot. And so I was struggling to be able to support myself by myself, but I had the privilege and advantage of having family support. I wasn't paying my rent. I wasn't necessarily responsible for my own feeding and my own accommodation, transportation here and there, but the rest of them were catered for by the family. So I just used that period to learn as much as I could. And because I was working with fashion businesses, we're not really paying well. So I thought that if I got a 9 to 5 and worked in a major company, I would be able to expose myself to the larger fashion industry. And I chose media. An opportunity came for me to work in Genevieve magazine. Now, mind you, at the point that I took this job, all I had were my certifications in digital marketing, in social media management across different platforms. I did not have any degree in marketing. I did not have any diploma in marketing. But aside the degrees, I also had experience, hands-on experience and results that I could deliver for clients. So this is how I went from having an animal environmental BSc to actually being the lead for content marketing at Genevieve magazine. And at the time I joined, I was managing both offline and online sales of the magazine. I was managing red carpet events and multiple platforms, from the blog to the newsletter to the different social media platforms. And for me, the main opportunity for that era of my life was I had to prove to myself that I was really good at what I was doing, because now I had a platform to actually do this work. And I proved to myself that I was good at it. And by the end of that year, I quit the job and went back into consulting. So The example I gave you is real. It's not strange. It's something I have lived. It's something I know a lot of young women that have lived as well. And so from that opportunity, after working doing that job for a year, I went back into consulting. And it was at the time I was restructuring my consulting that I bumped into Onyeka at this event, and she was like, "Oh, consider expanding." And there was just a finance company that was at the side, that was right at the corner, that was looking to have me work with them. And I brought them on board, and I'm like, okay, so we're expanding this thing beyond fashion. And here we are, consulting from finance to energy to tech to different sectors. And I expanded it beyond digital marketing to complete digital transformation solutions for brands. So this is something that I did that I know is possible. And again, without any technical experience. And why I like to hammer on this without technical experience, that a lot of platforms have improved so much today that it's English, it's drag and drop, it's click here, it's click there. I was speaking to one of my friends who is in the startup space, and I remember at the time when we were working together on certain partnerships, he was key on bringing in certain big names, big agencies, and I'm like, when you're a startup founder, the easiest thing to do is to keep your resources and to manage what you have in building or creating what is really necessary. And that would mean also building internally, using what you can have access to, the talent you have access to internally, and not depending on agencies and large corporations or consulting firms that will charge large amount of money. That doesn't guarantee success by any chance. And so I was always about make sure that you learn how to use certain platforms. You'll be surprised how you can click here and there, and you set up your first MVP. You set up your minimum viable product or your minimum viable offer. I am a preacher of minimum viable offer, such that a landing page or a sales page can carry the offer that you have for the marketplace, and you test and see how much demand that you have before you go and build a full tech product. So this is something that I learned how to do by tasking myself for my own self, and you can learn how to do it as well. So if you are going through the business route, this is very easy to do, from setting up your landing page, putting up your product on Shopify, product imaging. Let's even say you're not looking to sell physical products, that you are looking to create opportunities, say around digital products. It's also the same thing. Let's say you're not even looking to sell this type of product. You're looking to start maybe say reselling products. I don't want to say drop shipping because I'm not a huge drop shipping fan. But let's say you want to start importing products from China, you're not producing here locally, right? There's so much that you can do. There's no restriction to what you can do. In the business space, if you're a creative talent, what you're doing is not different from what those who have blown will do. So let's say an athlete that has blown, an artist that has blown, an influencer that has blown. What happens? Brands band around them to support them, to give them products to market to their audience. And that is how they make the funds, the money that they use to support themselves as well, right? So because you have not blown yet, you can bypass the traditional structures, traditional restrictions to blowing, and start creating your own products for your small community and grow with them. This is what anybody can do for themselves. And for the video that I created when I was creating the marketing, one of the videos I used for the marketing, I had said that you can actually, especially the one on TikTok, yeah, you can go full on into being your own talent manager, production company, media company, and then you can profit in the entire value chain based on your talent. Your talent is not just the dance. This same thing that you do to create the content, you can use those same skill sets to build something more for yourself. I remember back in the day, I had a relative that was into dance, and I used to say to him that this dance can become something more. Now imagine that you are a dancer. You're not just a dancer. You are a showman. You are a performer. And so if you're a showman, you're a performer, there's so much more you can do. And that performance can move from dance to music to DJing. A DJ will make way more with less energy, with less effort than a dancer would. And then as a DJ, you can build a larger personal brand by creating playlists and partnering with artists. Through the partnership with artists and record labels, you can now get access to be like the DJ Khaled, the Fields, the Young John, and the rest of them, and start making your own song so that you can now have your own assets. Those assets will now be what you actually own that will continue to make you money, such that even when you're sleeping, if someone streams your song, if a brand uses your song for promotion, if somebody plays this an ad on YouTube and YouTube will pay you for an ad being placed on your channel for the music video that you have, now you actually own assets. So if you are an athlete, an artist, an entertainer, a performer who has not blown, what you're going to do is to look at the successful artists who are already big, who are already blown. What are the systems? What are the infrastructures? What are the companies? What supports them? What makes them big? Because it's not just the talent. The talent is one thing. What is rarely seen or talked about is the billions of dollars or naira, if it's Nigeria, that supports this talent. And those billions and naira comes through the marketing partnerships that they have, through the sales partnerships they have with the companies that they have. So you look at it and say, how can I engineer this for myself from where I'm at? Let me give more detailed examples for those who are footballers. If you're a footballer and you know you've passed the age limit, maybe you're already 25, you're already 26. I know football age exists, but machines are getting better at predicting exactly what your age is based on your biology. So counting on football age to say, oh, you're still going to get a chance might not be realistic for you. Remember, we're talking about predictable, predeterministic opportunities. You're not going to be able to get there just by banking on the fact that you can leverage on football age. What you can do better is to say, what opportunities are there in the football or larger sports industry? And again, the principle I thought, what is the sports industry's value chain? Where does money go? Where does opportunity goes? Because the way you're looking at football and performing on the pitch, it's really somewhere at the bottom of the chain. Even though those who become really big get access to advertising funds, get access to promotions and partnership with large brands, but a lot of them do not get access to that. And even those opportunities, sometimes they're temporary for a lot of people. Very few people hold the large attention. And in a place like Nigeria, where we don't have talent managers, those attention, those resources, those opportunities are very limited. So what you're going to do is, if you're looking to do this, I would implore you to go research on the American entertainment, on the American football industry, and go look at how these people create opportunities and start asking yourself, how can you do that for yourself? If you're a footballer and you like football to the point that you understand the game, you understand how to predict scores, you understand how to predict opportunities, you understand how to predict trends, betting is not where you should go. Betting is not your own company. You're only wasting your time betting. You might make a few money here and there, but it's not guaranteed. Again, it's not predictable. It is not predeterministic. So what you can do is, if you like football enough to comment on it, to predict, to sport trends, global football, local football, you can build a personal brand around football commentary. You can build a personal brand around football trends globally and locally. And all you will need is your mobile phone, access to decent light, can even be daylight, and you will stream or you pre-record your videos and engage your people and tell them about football. There are so many opportunities within that value chain, but this is just one example that you can get started with. You can build an entirely different personal brand in the sector without necessarily having to enter the pitch and play the ball, right? You can do that. You don't have to be stuck on it. There are so many other opportunities within that space that will require a little research, but this is just one of it. If I move back to music and artists, Johnny Drill is one example I would like to use. I remember back in the day when I found out that Johnny Drill was a writer and a producer, and he was doing mixes for other artists, and he was also singing. So he's not the average artist who is just singing. He's an artist that could own a record label tomorrow. He's an artist that owns, that is a producer. And I think when it comes to music production, producers actually get something out of the production beyond the payment. When you write, you get some incentives, some royalties as the music continues to be sold and be consumed by different people. So he has multiple ways of profiting from his talent. It's not just the singing. There are multiple ways he has leveraged this. And so for him, he might actually be wealthier than a lot of people who are actually loud and known. You see, there's something I want people to understand. I know that there's an anxiety that comes with the fact that if you've been in the spotlight and you are now off the spotlight, there's a benefit to being on the spotlight, right? Especially when you're on the spotlight, they are hailing you, they are praising you. Some people don't even get rewarded financially for it, but just because everybody knows them, they're a household name, is some sort of reward. It gives them respect, it boosts their ego. They may never really make it. But there are people who are not necessarily known, but they have better business systems and structures around them. Please make sure that when you admire somebody who is popular, who is known, who is famous, that you look beyond the fame and look at the infrastructure, the systems, the business, the corporations backing them to stay famous or to be profitable. If they're not profitable, they are most likely not who we should be looking at. And there was this influencer that trended one time on TikTok a couple of months ago. I can't remember what the beef was about, but one of the things I took from it is that she was selling hair bunny, the hair cover that women wear, when the silk hair cover or caps that they wear. I say they like I don't wear it. The silk caps that women wear, right? So when I heard it, and I'm like, actually, yes, I've seen this influencer wear this thing again and again, but I didn't think it was a product. I thought it was just something that she wears to be funny, like a sort of a part of her image, the way Mr. Macaroni wears that burgundy agbada. I thought it was her thing. I didn't know it was a product that she actually sold. And it was funny to me because really, how many people are going to buy that product? How many will they buy yearly enough for her to be profitable? So when I say look at American artists, this is what I actually mean. Look at them, not just for them being famous. Look at the product development, the product agencies and support systems around them. Some of them are in partnerships with companies that already exist. Some of them they create internally. Social media, the internet is such an amazing resource when it comes to research. There are so many artists, global artists that I'm fans of. And I always tell people it's sometimes not really because, oh, they're an artist, they are big, they have a big name. Why I'm a fan of their brand, why I'm a fan of their brand is because of their work ethic, the results that they have, and a lot of times the business behind the brand, the product development behind the brand, the marketing behind the brand, the idea generation, the culture shaping, the influence systems behind the brand. That is what attracts me to most of them. I just silently study them and I take notes. Some of them become strategies that I deploy for brands I've worked with. And as I grow, they'll now become strategies that I deploy in my own brand. So when you see a famous artist, when you see anybody who is successful, this is not just for creative people, artists, and performers, as a career professional as well, regardless of where you are. When you see somebody who is succeeding or who is successful in your space, look beyond the hype. Ask what infrastructure, what processes, what systems, what certificates, what is backing them, what pushes them in front of this limelight, what gives them access to this opportunities and platform. If you can ask that question, you're one step closer to actually becoming them. Because now you know what backs them. And a lot of them share, they don't even hide it. There's this lady that I really admire, CNED. Her real name is Confidence Stavely. And she would post about the agencies that she works with for being booked as a speaker. She would post the platform she went to speak on. Sometimes she would share how she writes her emails in little details, nothing too much. And I'll say to myself, anybody who wants to become a globally recognized speaker, a female or male globally recognized speaker, or even a tech or cybersecurity leader, she is sharing inspiration daily on how you can become that. That same way, whoever is in your industry, remember when I said that if you don't know how big you're going to become or where to pivot to or what to pivot to, go find somebody who is really doing something big. Go look at them, go study what they are doing, not for the glamour, not for the name, not for the hype, but for the work that they are doing. What are they saying? What topics are they speaking on? How are they positioning their commentary and their writing? Why are they not choosing to just post a random selfie? When they are funny, when they're speaking about global issues or local issues, how are they speaking on them? Why are they not getting into male and female drama? Why are they not getting into husband and wife drama? Some of you, Seth, you're down for, let me get to this part now. Some of you, your downfall might actually be the state of your present social media platforms. Especially those that want to build personal brands. Because whether you want to go the business route or you want to go the career route, building a personal brand is important. Or at least you build a business brand. There are no two ways about it. It will shorten your curve for assessing opportunities, your course for learning. You will find better community, you will find better access and resource to people if you can actually build a personal brand. And for the brand that you already have right now, some of you, opportunities will see you and you will run the other side. Right? And I don't mean this to judge anyone. I've had a lot of learning as well. So I'm not a saint. I'm not claiming to not have done anything wrong. But at the point where you realize that there's something more, that higher is calling, you get your act together. There's this quote that I and my friend, we have this podcast, our internal conversation that we call SMP Live, where we say that age is not just a number. Age is excuse me, let me use this French this time. Age is a get your shit together alarm. It tells you that, oh, you're getting older, actually do better. And there's nothing wrong with taking responsibility for the fact that you're getting older and you should do better. This does not mean you cannot be playful. This does not mean you cannot have fun, you cannot be relaxed. But it just also means that if you've not tidied certain things, you need to start getting on them right now. So if you did not know before that your personal brand needs to be a certain way, that the way you write on social media, that the issues you comment on, that the places you comment on, that the places you appear, that the people you laugh at, the trends you speak on, that you didn't know that there were certain things you needed to avoid. This is your alarm right now. You're not younger anymore. You are not getting younger. You are not young anymore. You are old. You're old enough to know what is right. And if you didn't know before, now you know. Please get your act together. If you look at the social media platforms, the personal brands, see, social media has gone beyond, let me just talk my mind. Everybody is a media channel. People are watching you and judging you. We listen and we don't judge. We are judging. We judge. People have perceptions, preconceived notions about you that will hinder you or that will create opportunities for you. I often say this, that, yeah, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. But as people think of you, so are you. Lots of people signed up to this platform because you think I am somebody smart, that I have something to offer. More people will come to watch this replay years from now and watch me and say, oh, she really has something to offer. Maybe wherever they see, they're like, oh, I need to listen to this person because she looks like she has something to offer. If I branded myself as somebody who has nothing, nobody will show up. So please, it is time for you to put your acts together if you haven't been. And if you have, congratulations. I know most of the people who are watching the live broadcast are already OGs. TNA community members that are founding members are actually really smart, brilliant, innovative people who are already onto something. So this is not necessarily for them. It's crafted for a particular audience, because one of the reasons why TNA is as expansive in its teachings and offerings as it is that a lot of times tech teachings, tech opportunities are created specifically for the tech interested audience, right? People who are digitally savvy, people who would run towards tech. But for the wider digital divide and AI divide we have, we can't keep saying that. We can't keep focusing on that. I wanted people who are outside this our bubble, outside knowing what tech platforms are, digital skills are, how powerful the platforms are, to come into this space and also see how they can be part of this space, right? So you can go from being the footballer who hasn't gotten a big opportunity, and in 1 year, you'll be the one getting the most endorsements and most branding opportunities, and even launching your own product. See, I would even say to you that don't necessarily focus on the endorsement deals or the opportunities, because they will not come at the beginning. Rather, look towards creating your own products. As small as possible, look towards creating your own products as fast as you can in the industry. And these products can be anything depending on the access that you have, or the opportunities to the access that you have, and the type of audiences that are following you, right? So let's say you decide to become a football commentator and you're creating content, you're predicting trends, you're creating opportunities, or you're planning all right, an idea hits me, so let me share it fully. This is one of the things I do for fun when my friends share their products or businesses with me, and I map out an entire strategy for them. So let's say you decide to move from being a footballer playing at Ikeja FC or Agege FC, and now you want to go into the larger sports industry, and you see gaps, you see inequalities, you see lack of support and funding, you see lack of education, you see lack of healthcare support. Are you seeing opportunities? So if you create a personal brand and you start speaking about sports, the trends, the biggest players, the opportunities, and then you start speaking about the lack of opportunity in the sports industry in Africa, in the football sector, in the sports industry in Africa, in Nigeria, what the disadvantages are, what can be done right, who can come in, Now you can start, as you start speaking, as your platform starts growing, you can start writing proposals to certain platforms to partner with you to bring awareness to certain informations, to certain educational events and experiences, to certain support experiences as well. These become opportunities that if you still want to be in the limelight, if you still want to be celebrated, because there's a huge part with, people who are already playing on the football field, who are artists, they like the spotlight. There's nothing wrong with that when you're not overdoing it, where it becomes your master, right? When it's not lord over you, there's nothing wrong with it. If you like being on stage and watching people listen to you, and you, by your talent and your gifts, you bring them closer to whatever visions and values you believe in, it's an amazing thing to have. You can draw an audience closer to you. It's an amazing thing to have, so I'm not judging you. So if you want to maintain it and decide to build a personal brand that can attract a large audience, there's a whole lot you can do to fix the sports industry. You can start bringing opportunities and connections and partnerships within the sports industry, within football particularly. Before you know it, you're on speaking conferences. Before you know it, you're creating products, you're creating leagues. These guys from Flutter, Paystack, one of the founders, I think it's Shola, launched a company within the sports industry. And they are building the future of sports in Lagos, in Africa particularly. And I'm excited for that particularly. So you can get into such opportunities. You would never know what opportunities you would get if you intentionally position yourself for larger opportunities. So just because something has died doesn't mean, or something has been cut off, doesn't mean that the opportunity in the industry or the entire space has been cut off for you. There's a whole lot more that you can get access to. You just need to change your approach. That's all you need to do. You need to see with new eyes. And like I said, see through the value chain. Never look at the department, never look at the title, never look at the role, never look at the gift or the talent alone. Look at the industry where you are in. Look at the value chain. Who is making the most? Who is doing the least? Where are the opportunities? Where can I come in? You'll be surprised how the one talent you have right now can easily translate, or you can help you transition into the next thing. Especially, most people tend to think that multi-potentialized or being multi-talented is something for very few people. I don't think so. A lot of people are multi-talented and multi-potentials. But the only difference is that some people know how to start with one thing and focus and build on other things as they grow. Example, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Do they have one company? They have companies in different industries and sectors. Dangote, Tony Elumelu, name it. Any serial entrepreneur you know has multiple interests and passions. They just hammered from one and then expanded it, or kept increasing their interest in different value chains. So the same thing applies to you. If you're a multi-talented person, just pick one thing and get started. But before you pick that one thing, pick it knowing that you've done your research, that there's a demand for this thing. Because for some opportunities, some products, some ideas, you're going to need to invest in shaping market trends or waiting for the time of that product to come. Example, the metaverse. If Mark Zuckerberg and his company were not strong or big enough, the investments they've already made into that opportunity, it would have shut down their company. It would shut down the average startup or company. But as soon as AI came, they pivoted. And they still have that in place. So the same thing applies to you. Make sure that the opportunity you're choosing to give your all, and sometimes you may never really know completely if it's something that will work out until you give your time into it. But make sure that you pick the one that you've done research and that you've tested, that there's market demand in, and then you put in everything into it. And once you hammer from that one, when I mean hammer, basically it's the Nigerian slang for when you sell, when you find huge demand for such opportunities, you go in and launch the other ones. So being a multi-potentialite, there's a whole lot it offers you. There's a benefit that the benefits are endless, if you ask me. It's an amazing blessing if you know how to manage it. Where it becomes sad and painful is when it drags you in different directions. And there's a commentary I'm going to make as I wrap up this session. I'm going to take a few questions. So a lot of people would say that people put them in boxes because they are multi-potentialites or they are multi-talented, and people should not label them. People want them to become one thing. The reason why people label you or ask you to become one thing, it's not necessarily because they're trying to put you in a box. It's for easy identification. We have like a labeling process for identifying items. every item or everything, every living thing, everything has a name. It has a number. That is how we identify and understand information. It's basically an information processing system. It's not because they think you cannot be more. So when somebody meets you and you do like 10 things and all they remember is one thing, or they never see you beyond that one or two things that they know about, it's not necessarily, a lot of times it's not hate. It's not they're trying to put you in a box. They're just trying to process information. They are not supposed to know the 10 things that you do. They are not your mother. They're not your father either. They have a lot of information that they get access to daily from the internet, from their daily lives, from the things that matter to them. So they may never remember you for those 10 things that you do. And here's the reality. You cannot be excellent in those 10 things. You can only be excellent in a few. So if you bake in the morning, you sew in the evening, you dance in the night, you cannot be excellent in all three. And I'm saying this as someone who has multiple talents. You can do them efficiently well, but there are few that if they tap you, it is your thing. And then there are some that you're just struggling in, that you'll never be the best in. And it's okay, right? So rather than being being concerned about the fact that you are that you have multiple talents or multiple skill sets and people don't recognize you for it, focus on the fact that, oh, these multiple talents and multiple skill sets are useful, but they're not the things you should focus on per time. I was reserving this for another segment, but I'm going to say it right now. See, some of the ideas, some of the gifts, some of the talents, some of the skill sets you have were given to you not to go into those ideas, those concepts as a skilled laborer with your gifts and talents. You were supposed to be an investor. Some of the interests you have, some of the passions you have, you're not supposed to go launch a company where you are the staff, you are the marketer, you are the content creator, you are the accountant, you are the merchandiser, you are the fulfillment officer, you are everything in one. Or maybe you have two staff that are supporting you and you are still doing 10-man jobs. Some of them are things you're supposed to invest in, some things you're supposed to fund. Some of them are life-changing and life-transforming projects that you're supposed to find an organization that is already doing it, and then you give them $10 million, give them $5 million, give them 1 million naira, give them 500,000 naira. You're not supposed to go set up an entire company from scratch. You were supposed to play a role in them. It is for you to decide and which one it is that you will focus on and which one you actually play a part in. But it's not everything you are supposed to start up. You're not supposed to have 10 companies. And realistically speaking, look at all the people that you admire that are identified as multi-potentialites. Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, Dangote, Tony Elumelu. Is Tony Elumelu in Dubai and also in the Lagos office at the same time? Is Dangote in, say, Saudi Arabia? Or is he in the US and then he's also driving cement to my village? He's not. The only reason why they're able to do as much as they do is that they're now able to leverage the time, the energy, the resources, the education of the people that they hire, of the people they partner and work with. So claiming that you have 10 talents and you want all of them to be recognized, you're wasting your time. It is better that you label those talents in boxes as companies, as organizations that you will fund or partner with or launch through other talents in the future, and then get into the one that you really need to get into and focus and deliver on it. So this is where I will be wrapping it up. I'm just going to look at my notes to see that I covered what I wanted, because I've been going off the top of my head on this topic. So let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. I've covered how to transition from time-sensitive or talent-driven careers into sustainable, scalable opportunities, how technology, AI, and digital platforms can redefine career timelines, actionable steps to build financial stability and flexibility regardless of your age or career stage, strategies to stay relevant and thrive, even if your field feels oversaturated or restricted. Okay, yeah. I didn't go line by line, but I have taken everything. This is why I like to use slides so that I can go line by line. But I didn't have the time to put together my slides for this edition. So I just decided, since I already knew what I was going to share, that I was going to get right into it and do the best I can to cover it. So do let me know if there are any questions. Hi, Deepa. Thank you for joining. Pastor Divs, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, if there are any questions that you have, do let me know. By the way, for those who are not familiar about what digital skills are, or tech, even at the no code level is, I will send out an email. If you registered for TNA, you're going to get the link. So if you register for TNA, you're already part of our newsletter community. So I'm going to share a few resources that are ours and resources that you can also leverage that are not ours, when it comes to learning digital skills and how to set up either designing products yourself or creating platforms or building personal brands for yourself. You can either get on the AI Automation Accelerator to learn how you can use AI to either launch your own business, launch your own personal brand, start up your career, learn how to use software that are needed in the workplace, depending on whatever career path you're pursuing. There's a huge opportunity for software implementation when it comes to businesses in Nigeria, depending on the sector that you are in. So yeah, I'm going to share a couple of resources that we have at Future Technology Institute, and ones that I also know of, some that I started with when I didn't really have any dime, that you can also get started with to learn how you can leverage the opportunities in the digital economy. I always encourage anyone who feels that they've tried so many things and it didn't work out to look out for opportunities in the digital economy. It might not be where you end up, but literally everything we do today is part of the digital economy. Everything is digitized. Some aspect of it, at least, is digitized. So you're never going to be in the wrong place. Okay. Some people's work will maybe depend heavily offline, or have most of their processes running offline, but it's still part of the digital economy. So whatever opportunities, whatever industry you're interested in, there's a whole lot you can do if you know how to leverage the opportunities that exist here, and by using the software, the tools, the platforms that are available here, and using your skill sets as well, you're able to create amazing opportunities for yourself. I hope I did justice for the people who are creatives, who are career professionals, because I know my examples were tailored mainly to footballers, artists, talents, models, and the rest of them. See, models particularly are in a very, very rewarding and profitable industry. If you are a model, you most likely understand styling. You most likely understand poise and etiquette. You most likely understand presentation. You most likely understand how to stand and position yourself when marketing products and services. And so the easiest or the most appealing industry usually for models are within beauty and fashion. And with all I have shared, I didn't go into details on how you can actually build out the products themselves, because that should be another class entirely. But at the foundational level, you can build your own products in the beauty industry, in the fashion industry. These things are way easier to do than it was back in the early 2000s or 2010s rather. Most people just go for influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is good, but influencer marketing, if you've noticed the influencer marketing trend, is temporary. And it's difficult, like I said, being at the top, there are only few people who can be there. When people make it to the top and somebody else takes over that position, people like to say, oh, that person has beat that person. But I don't think it's really a case of beating someone. It's just a law of life, a law of nature. Somebody has got to come down for somebody to be at the top. And it's going to be that way. Some people hold the positions longer, other people hold it for a short period. What matters most is what you do when you get there. But some people never really make it to the top, right? And when I mean make it to the top, I mean by the standards of fame or being known globally or locally, by numbers, right? But they still build profitable ventures. So, and they do that by building these businesses with systems and infrastructures that don't even have to depend on the public entity. They can leverage other people's public association or connection to the audience and market that they're interested in. Example, everybody has been seeing Temu's ad. At least I have, and I know a lot of people have commented on it on their social media platforms. We don't know who Temu or who owns Temu or who ideated or who conceptualized it. If I Google, I'll definitely find the name. But I don't know who it is. But am I seeing Temu's ad? Maybe someday I'll buy a product from them, right? So somebody owns that platform. And that person is going to work with influencers at some point in Nigeria to market their products. That can be you too. You can learn how to, and this is where I think a lot of people who are focused on fame or fame facing brands have challenges. They know the fame and the attention engineering part of things, but they don't know how to convert that attention into marketing and sales of products and services that adheres. They don't also know how to do product development for their own self or for their own company. And this is the gap that talent development agencies, product agencies feel in the US and the other parts of the world. A lot of creative people are creative, but that creative is only in engineering attention. But to channel that attention into something that they have equity in, it's a problem. And you can only be the top influencer for so long. It's only for a limited time. Somebody's going to come up and take up that space. Also, different areas in your life will take attention, right? And someone can say, oh, if you were a fashion or a style influencer, and then you decide to get married and have kids, you can now start sharing home care, styling and dressing your kids. Yes, but it would mean that you don't really own assets that can support you. Of course, you can use the money coming from influencer to buy a few assets in real estate, but the higher value will come if you know how to take that attention and that exposure that you have through you curating or creating fashion experiences, lifestyle experiences, decoration experiences, home care experiences for your audience into a product, especially if they can trust you. And again, I like to use the American market because they have like an open playbook that you can study and you can see what their celebrities do. And I'm giving this example particularly because the new age celebrities are the media influencers, the new media influencers. So there's a lot of opportunity in that space. Rihanna. Rihanna hasn't made music in how long? What did she go to do? She went to do what other businesses that have been funding her career do. Because if you look through the music industry, they make a couple of, a few checks here and there from streaming platforms, from album sales. The record labels will take their own portion. The different institutions that support them will take their own portion, and then they will go tour and perform. But the bulk of the money doesn't still come to them. So she did not become wealthy. She did not become a billionaire through her music. It was by owning assets that her fan base will buy and will continue to buy so long as she's engaged with them. That is what made her a billionaire. So she had to go into product development, and she created one of the most amazing products of the time at the time. A product that will have different shades of foundation for different women, especially Black women who have been marginalized when it comes to finding the right shade. And with the fan base and loyalty and community she already had, she won the hearts of millions of people globally, and she has been building on that. So that was how she made it. It wasn't her music. So see, if you haven't made it through music, it's not the end of the world. If you've not made it to the #1 spot, if you've not made it to the big stage, it's not the end of the world. You also can learn how to create products. It might not be lipstick, it might not be makeup, it might not be skincare, but you'll find your own thing that you actually see that there's a need for in the market space, in the marketplace, and you develop it. Remember, you don't need to have all the resources. First, start with imagining that it's possible. And then, what do you have right now? What do you not have? How can you use what you have to get what you need in order to make this dream reality? And this is where I will end it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I have lost my voice. I've been talking for almost 2 hours now. I didn't think I'll be on. Usually I take water breaks, but this time around, I just decided to go right into it. So thank you so much. I see that you guys had an amazing time. I did as well. It's been my honor and pleasure hosting you. I think in the next edition, maybe not TNA, I'll do a weekly, do like a teaching that will be dedicated mainly to people who have studied courses, especially first degrees, young Nigerians, young Africans who end up studying courses that are not necessarily going to help them find opportunities, especially in this time. There's even a scarier report that I saw one time, and that is young professionals actually doing sort of menial jobs in the digital space or in the digital economy. And when I mean menial jobs, I don't know if you guys remember this Sam Altman's Orbit, the eye scanning hardware that he launched that is basically dedicated to helping on identify humans, and it's connected to his WorldCoin product, which is supposed to be like the central digital coin that we use. Interesting stuff anyway. But they launched it in Kenya, or they tested it in Kenya, and they had people queue up to use to test it with their eyes, because it scans your eye, I think your iris, to validate if you're human. And they were paid in the WorldCoin. They were not even paid in Kenyan currency. They were paid in that cryptocurrency, that digital currency. And what's funny about it is the fact that people who are paid in digital currencies, people who went for these things, to a large extent already understand or experience the digital economy. It's not that they are outside it, they are right inside it. But they went to sell their they went to sell their information for very little. Because I can't remember the exact figure, but the figure or the value of what they were paid didn't really make sense. And there's a post I made on, I think on Instagram and LinkedIn as well, where I said that it's no longer about being part of the digital economy. Where the larger digital divide is right now is knowing how to access opportunities here, actually. There are people who are tapping, who are swapping, who are doing different things that are not necessarily going to bring them opportunities. They're just going to take their time, just going to take their youth. The other part of this scary story is also, I think, also in Kenya and in South Africa, where a company, an outsourcing company, uses young professionals to train the AI models and data of OpenAI and a couple of other brands, including Meta. And the people who worked on these platforms are saying they are having horrifying experiences and trauma from training this AI, because they have to train it and help it label very horrible data and information. And the company didn't really provide them enough support. Also, they were paid, I think, just about the minimum wage or below the minimum wage. While they've been protesting the matter, again, these are people that understand how to label information for AI. These are people that know how to train AI, but they are not being rewarded. So they are not outside the digital economy, they are right inside it. But the opportunities, the resources, the access, they are not maximizing it. So it's one of the reasons why, when I saw it, reminded me of the reason why I created the Next Advantage, and why it's such an important platform for this season, and for young professionals particularly, and the traps that they fall into unknowingly. So please, it's not just about learning a digital skill. It's not just about getting digital opportunities. It's not just about signing up for freelancing. Understand the value chain. There's nothing wrong with you making it to the top. And if you don't want to be the one taking the risk, like I said, not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, but you can build a career that will support you and sustain you to have a great life, to support you and your loved ones, right? You can do that intentionally, or you can find someone who is willing to be the CEO, who will bear the risk and the vision, while you support as the operations, or as the strategy and innovation, or whatever role, finance or tech, that you're going to be part of. But however, make sure that you reach for the best possible opportunity there is. You're not made for what is just at the bottom. You're made to also access what's at the top, and you can intentionally build that out for yourself. Thank you once again for joining. I will see you in the next edition of the Next Advantage. I am looking forward to hosting another one this year. But again, it's not going to be centered on tech. But as you know, tech will always find its expression in our teachings, in our gadgets, because it's such a key aspect of our experience in this season and time. So I will share that with you through our different channels, via email, via the Telegram and WhatsApp communities as well. And you will see the post publicly as well. And also, I think I'm going to open a poll to draw in topics that you might be interested in for the coming year, areas of interest, people you'd like to listen to, because the last 2 episodes have been centered on me, but I wanted to go back into bringing other people who are experienced in the digital economy to share on other topics that you're interested in. And also, if you'd like to learn more about AI when it comes to development, and not just using the tools, building AI platforms as well. And by building, I mean technical building as well. If you would like to be part of such experiences, do let me know. You can write to me via email at office@mindgbhq.com, or you send me an Instagram DM. I can be reached on Instagram. Okay? So thank you once again for joining. That's my Instagram handle. If you want to reach out to me and ask me any questions or send me any resources. For those who signed up for the next for the AI Automation Accelerator, I'll be sending out emails and connecting with you from tomorrow. And if you would like to join as well, look out for the email coming out, and you can send me an email via Instagram, and I'll share it with you. To sign up for the next advantage or to find out information about it, you can head over here. The early action bonus is gone. Yeah, it's only for those who took early action. So, but yeah, you can still sign up to join the accelerator. It's a live workshop. It's not like the regular course where we will get to do everything live, and you can build out your solutions live, and you can become an AI automation consultant either within your career path or within your entrepreneurship path, whichever one you decide to do. I am rooting for you always. My name is Ebere Lisa, and it's been an honor and pleasure having you here with me tonight. Thank you for joining me from the beginning to the end. Thank you to all the TNA founding community members who always show up. I look forward to someday having a physical one-on-one experience, even though I know some people are not in the country, but we'll be able to do something physical in the coming year. But for now, we'll continue to meet virtually. It's been lovely being here with you, and I am signing out.